Hi everyone. In this lesson we're going to discuss some sample standard rebuttals and objections. We're going to go through some sample objections and then we're going to show some sample rebuttals to these. Some of these are industry specific, some of them are not. And I recognize that not each and every one of these is going to apply to your selling style. What you have to do is be like a cow. You have to chew what's good and spit the rest of it out. But what it will do is show you the philosophy and the psychology of rebuttals and handling objections. And the reason why I think that's important for you is the hardest part about handling an objection when it comes up is that 1 or 2 seconds right after you get the objection. If you don't have a mantra, if you don't have the key phrases as an integrated part of your sales personality, the hardest part for a lot of salespeople in handling objection is knowing what to say. And as we went through previous trainings, the truth is there's really only 4 basic objections. And that's no money, no need, no hurry, and no confidence. And once we know what those 4 basic objections are, it's very easy to, number 1, build the rebuttal into our presentations to reduce the chances of those objections coming up, but also to have some rebuttals that are germane to the objections that may come up after the presentation so that we can do a trial close using tie-down questions. So we're going to walk through some of these standard rebuttals that you tend to get. Remember, they're centered around no money, no need, no hurry, no confidence. And then we're going to show how you can reply to those by using examples that make sense. They're common sense. So this trial close is a general trial close. This can apply to any industry. And here's kind of the way it goes. So, during our lifetime, we tend to buy many things, don't we? Cars, televisions, homes. And you nod your head as you're saying these things. You want to get a tacit approval, a tacit agreement from your prospect. And always before investing our money, we usually consider 3 things. Do I need it? And you pause. Notice how your voice trails off. Do I need it? You make it a question. You nod your head. Do I like it? Again, you pause. You nod your head. And can I afford it? And there you might shrug your shoulders a little bit, tilt your head a little bit. That's making sure that your body language is congruent with your words, and it engages your prospect in the conversation so that they become part of this rebuttal process. So now that we've laid the framework for this general trial close and this rebuttal, we're going to continue. So regardless of what you buy, you tend to accept or reject a purchase based on asking yourself these 3 questions, right? Now you see that word right is a tie-down question. When they agree with that, then they're agreeing with the premise. And you do the other things that we talked about in the last slide, which is you nod in your head, shrug your shoulders, tilt your head, so that you engage them. Now let's look at the policy you designed. Whether it's a policy, a plan, a program, a service contract, whatever it is, you want to make sure you frame it so that they take emotional ownership over it. What you want them to do is build their own solution and then take emotional ownership over it. It's kind of like test driving a car. When you think about the last time you bought a car, you took it for a test drive. While you're on the dealership's lot, you get behind the steering wheel. And what do you do before you take it out on the road? Don't you adjust some things? What are some of the things you adjust? For some of us, we're going to adjust the steering wheel. From others, we're going to adjust the radio. Some might adjust the air conditioning. Some might reach down and adjust the seat. You might slide it up, slide it back. You might adjust the seat back. You might adjust the side mirrors. Then you take the car off the lot. You go for your test drive. You come back to the dealership. When you get out of the car with the car salesman, where do you usually go? Well, you go inside, right? You go inside to sit down and talk with the salesperson. And what are you going inside for? Are you going inside to discuss how much you're paying for a car? Or are you going inside to discuss how much you're paying for that car? The truth is you're not going in there to discuss which car you might buy. You're going in there to discuss how much you're paying for that car, aren't you? And the reason for that is you've already taken emotional ownership over that car. When you sat down in that car, you adjusted the things that you use the most in the order you use those things in order to make the car fit you. That's what we're doing here. You want to make sure that your prospect has adjusted the product or service in a way that fit them. That's why I say in this example here, now let's look at the policy you designed. Do you like the plan you designed? And then you wait for the answer. That's the awkward pause. That's what most salespeople have the most difficult time doing, is waiting for the answer. Do you feel you and your family need this protection? Notice how I emphasize the word need this protection. The reason I emphasize that word need this protection is I want them to acknowledge that they already said they needed this. So I'm going to wait for an answer again. Do you feel comfortable with the company? Notice how I stretch the word comfortable out. I tilt my head as I say the word comfortable. And the reason for that is because I want to make it sound familiar to them, something that's common and familiar to them, something that they make a part of themselves so that they feel like that this is a decision that's going to be of benefit to their family. And the last one is, can you handle the cost? Now, the reason I stretch that out and emphasize the word cost, as we've already discussed in the previous conversation when we went through how to qualify people, we already discussed how you get the cost out of the way up front. So can you handle the cost? And when they agree to each of those things, you're going to see how we use a tie-down question to do that trial close by getting them to make a buy-in decision on a minor point. Now, as we mentioned in other trainings, people buy on emotion and they're moved to action by logic. So we're going to apply that principle here. We're going to address emotion and we're going to give them a logical reason to make the buy-in decision. You know, the only time you can apply for this protection is when you're in good health. Let's authorize the name of your company to run a clearance here to see what you qualify for. And then you want to make sure your behavior is congruent with your words. So in this case, you would write your name on as the salesperson on the application or contract, and you'd lay the pen down next to where they have to write their name so that your behavior is congruent with your words. So this objection's when they say that they want to shop around. Now, you've already met with them, you've done the meet and greet, the warm-up, you've done the qualification, you've done your presentation, you've done the trial close, you've already given them the price, and now they come back and say, I want to shop around. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use our standard rebuttal. I'm going to use a standard key phrase that we learned in our previous trainings, and that is, well, obviously you have a reason for feeling this way. Do you mind if I ask what it is? I want to validate the prospect, and then I want to ask an action question. Obviously, you have a reason for feeling this way. Do you mind if I ask what it is? And the reason I'm comfortable asking this question and stating it this way is I've earned the right for them to give me an answer. I've already vested my time, energy, and resources getting in front of them. I've already told them at the beginning of the presentation, like we talked about during the presentation training, that my job as a salesperson to get them the best product or service at the best price possible, and that's what they would expect me to be doing. And if I do my job correctly, then the only thing I ask for them is to give me either yes or no answer. The answer is yes, then I'm going to make sure that they get the best product or service, get the best qualification, get the best price, whatever your industry is, and get them their product or service put in place as soon as possible. If the answer is no, I'm not going to be like most salespeople. I'm not going to keep bugging them and calling them, bugging them and calling them. I'm going to move on to my next customer. But at the price of gas today, I can't afford to keep coming back. So I just want a yes or no answer. Is that fair? And you might remember that from the training we did on this. So when they say yes, that's fair, then I shake hands with the husband and wife, or I shake hands with the president of the company or the store manager or whoever is making the buy-in decision. Well, since I've already done that, when they come back at the end of the presentation and say I want to shop around, I've earned the right to ask this question. So obviously you have a reason for feeling this way. Do you mind if I ask what it is? Can you tell me a little bit about what you're shopping around for so I can give you some information to help you make an informed and intelligent decision? And notice the way I said that. I want to help them make an informed and intelligent decision. The inference is there may be something that they're not considering. And the last one is, well, let's start the underwriting process to protect your ability to qualify while you still have a choice to shop around. Or whatever is appropriate for your industry. Maybe you don't need to underwrite a loan, or but whatever is appropriate for your industry. Let's go ahead and get this process started to protect their ability to qualify while they still have that option to shop around. So another one of the 4 basic objections, no money, no need, no hurry, no confidence, is no money. So again, I'm going to use my standard key phrase for this. Obviously, you have a reason for feeling that way. Do you mind if I ask what it is? Suppose you need a new job. You walk into one place of business and are offered your current salary with no health benefits. When you get sick or hurt, or a member of your family goes to the hospital, your employer will not be able to pay anything towards your medical bills. That's what your current job is now, isn't it? So see, what we're going to do is we're going to use that tie-down question to get an agreement of what their current situation is. Obviously, this is geared towards insurance, but you can put your industry in there, reword that for however your industry is, and make sure you do that tie-down question, isn't it? Because when they agree with you, you're going to be able to hold them accountable to what they agreed to, and you'll be able to use their own words to close the deal. So we're going to do the second part of the no money objection. Then suppose you walk down the street and talk to another employer who offered a job which had the same hours and the same duties. He said he would pay you and state whatever the cost is for the product or service. In this example, we're using insurance, but whatever the cost is for your product or service in your industry. He said he would pay you less than what you're currently getting. However, he would pay you, and then you list the policy benefits. So you take a piece of paper on a legal notepad, you draw a line down the center of the paper, we call that a Ben Franklin. You write the cost on the left-hand side, and then you list the benefits of your product or service on the right-hand side. Now, this is the last part of the no money objection, and we're going to show you how to use this tie-down question and trial close to get the agreement. So we've already said they walked down the street, they looked at another job, they got a job offer that paid less based on the amount of the product or services you had to offer. And now what we're going to do is we're going to trial close them. So we say, which job would you take? Now, I'm guessing they're going to say the job that has all the benefits, right? And then we're going to come back and say why. And you want to pause there. You want to make them justify their decision. And their answer of why they would take that job is the reason that they will buy your product. So you want to make sure you listen with that sixth sense, with that third ear. You want to listen to what they're saying, not just what they said. You go get that training in our listening training that we did earlier. So here we're going to go back into it. This is exactly the choice you have now. And it's the choice you can make only when you have good choices. Let's authorize the name of your company to check or run a clearance to see what you qualify for. See how we close on a minor point, and again, you want to make sure your behavior is congruent with your words. You sign where you're supposed to sign as a salesperson, and then you lay the pen down next to where they sign as if you expect them to do it. Now, I call these buffer objections. So they say, at the end of your presentation, say, oh, this sounds great, but I've got to talk to my spouse. So again, you want to go ahead and use your key phrase. Obviously, you have a reason for feeling this way. Do you mind if I ask what it is? And then you want to make sure that you throw the gauntlet down. Remember, if you did your job properly to begin with, and you already got a commitment from them to get a yes or no answer, then you've already invested your time, energy, and resources getting in front of them. You've already spent an hour or more with them when your time could have been spent with someone else. You have a right to an answer. And the only way you're going to get that answer is by putting it on the line. And these may just be buffer objections. These may be objections that they're giving you because they're used to giving an objection, because they think they're supposed to give an objection. So if they say they need to talk to the spouse, you can say, great, let's get her on the phone. Let's get him on the phone. If the spouse lives in that town or lives nearby, great, let's go to where your husband is. Let's go where your spouse is. You can get the spouse's information and then schedule a visit with the spouse. But here's what I would tell you. If you get the same objections 3 out of 5 presentations, I would tell you to start moving that objection up front as a part of your presentation. So deal with this up front when you're setting the appointment so that you know that the decision makers are there and this isn't going to come up. That way, when you actually get to the appointment, if one of the people they said were going to be there isn't there, then you get to make the choice, of whether you want to invest your time, energy, and resources in making a complete